All right, hello YouTube. Thanks for watching. So in this video, I want to share with you some tips and tricks on how you can turn things around in your network marketing business. Particularly, if you're in LiveGood, I'll share with you, some of the tips and strategies that I'm using to get some upgrades into my business. All right, in not only LiveGood but also on my other platforms that I'm involved in, such as LeadsLeap. And how I'm able to do that, how I'm able to get my leads to upgrade, to convert. All right, and this is not new. All right, for me, this is something that I've been doing for a long time. So I know it works. It's evergreen. I see a lot of people promoting lots of new things, like suggesting that they can help you to get lots of leads or whatever like that. But guys, it doesn't matter what kind of lead system you have. I don't care what lead system you have. If you don't have those next step or strategies to help those leads to upgrade on a personal level, I don't believe there's any such lead system that can actually allow you to do what I've been able to do and what I seem to be able to continue to do, which is powerful. So I'll give you some tips and tricks that really work for me and will continue to work. And will, no doubt work for you as well. All right. But, the one thing I think people need to be prepared to understand is that people often come to me asking for some kind of script. All right. They think that it's all down to scripts. When I post something on social media, and I'm getting these kind of results, I'm getting upgrades, like yesterday, day before yesterday, I'm regularly getting results. All right. And when I post things like that on social media, when I'm posting my results, people sometimes ask me, what script are you using? What system are you using? What methods are you using? It's not just about one specific tool or kind of one script or anything like that. It's the whole big picture. There's a lot of process going on in this, and it's something that I've learned over the years. All right. So when I got back into the industry in 2015, having struggled, and that was the reason why I got out of the industry. All right, I initially got out. I was in the industry for a long time, having struggles and stress that I know, you guys, I know the struggles. All right, I know what you're going through, and I struggled in those areas. That's why I quit. I admit I quit the industry, but when I got back into the industry and I was prepared to give it another go, I had to say to myself, well, what am I going to do differently this time that's going to make things work, that's going to turn things around? So ever since I got back into the industry in 2015, which was really June, all right, May, June, July, that kind of time, it was June 2015. I got back into the industry and I made a decision as to what I was going to do moving forward. And, obviously in the beginning, it was a lot of trial and error. But there was a lot of learning for me. I had to learn how to do this. I had to teach myself, all right, and a lot of trial and error. But I wasn't afraid. I knew it was going to be a long journey. I knew it was going to be a lot of split testing, analyzing my tracking, my whole system. But what I did was that made it all work for me was, I realized I had to lead with the value, and I had to understand where people were struggling, which was obviously, lead generation, but not only lead generation, it was getting those leads to convert, getting those leads to take action, getting upgrades, getting signups into my business. All right. So I had to figure out what was going to allow, what was going to get people to take action. Because honestly, guys, things have never really changed, since 2015. The attitudes of people, what makes them choose certain sponsors over others, and I have to say, it's just the fact of the matter is that people do sponsor shop. Okay, people do choose who to join. I honestly don't think it's, people moan and complain and get frustrated, say, well, it's all right for you because you're successful. Guys, we all start in the industry at exactly the same place. All right, we all start somewhere. And the great thing about this industry is you don't have to suddenly become successful. You don't have to suddenly get floods of signups and upgrades. You could become successful by teaching people how to bring in a handful of people. But if you're duplicating some of the methods that I'm going to teach you in this video, you're going to have some great results. And that's really where you're looking. If you're looking to get a couple of $1,000s a month, or even more than that, you can do that within months by following some of the strategies. I'm not going to say that it's easy, and I'm certainly not going to say that there's any push button system, because I've never been into that kind of thing. It's not going to be automated. But bearing in mind, guys, this is not something that suddenly worked for me overnight. This is a long-term process that has been going on, and I've been adapting and developing and tweaking and going through a lot of learning. Okay, so if you think that I could teach you everything that I've been able to learn in since 2015, the last 10 years or 9 years, and you're going to be able to learn it within weeks or days or whatever, it's just not going to happen. So I came to the conclusion that it was all about, it was all about, for me, I figured I had to figure something out that was potentially going to work to help people. And then I just had to run with that. All right. So what I decided was I was just going to give out, done for you content in the form of lead magnets that people could rebrand. All right. And why I felt that was important was because I started using a lot of my own kind of tricks, because I've always been a little bit geeky. All right, but it's in ways that I think anyone could learn. All right, and I'm going to repeat that, in ways that anyone could learn, and I say that it's true. All right, but forget about what I said there. Even whether you believe me or whether you accept that as truth or not, it's irrelevant, because the fact of the matter is, I already give out the done for you content anyway. So even if you can't create the lead magnets, even if you can't create the powerful, the nice templates, the funnels, the systems, the marketing tools, even if you can't create any of that, it doesn't really matter, because I create that and I make them rebrandable. That's the kind of the promise that I've always made to myself and to my team, is that when I bring out funnels, when I bring out pages, when I bring out marketing tools and content in graphics and everything, I make it rebrandable. All right. It might be in the form of a template that you get, or it might be in the form of a share code, where you get the share code, you copy it, you add it to the account, and then it becomes yours. A lot of you already know, if you followed my channel, you know that I use platforms like LeadsLeap. All right. They allow me to bring out content. Let me share with you guys. So for example, all right, so I've got these pages, for example, all right, and I create pages. All right, I create nice pages. These templates have share codes attached to them. So, potentially you might be able to get access to those. All right. I say potentially because guys, I'm not going to just give out everything, just for passers-by. If you're going to partner up with me, and potentially, get on board with me, I'd be happy to share the content out with you, so you can get these templates. Now, these templates that you're seeing here, I regard them as lead magnets. Really, that's exactly what they are. They are lead magnets. Why? What is a lead magnet? In all, kind of like break it all down into the basics of what is a lead magnet. It's simply something that allows, or it encourages a lead, or somebody who's jumped onto your website and they're considering partnering up with you, they're considering joining you. A lead magnet is that kind of like little mechanism that sweetens the pot. It gives them that extra little push to jump on board. What you're doing here is you're giving that little bit of extra value over and above the other guy who isn't doing that, and most people aren't. They're not giving that extra little bit of value, because unfortunately the fact of the matter is that people will sponsor shop. All right, let me repeat that. People are going to sponsor shop. Whether you like it or not, whether that frustrates you, I don't care. All right, that's the industry that we're in. And thank goodness it's a fair industry, because, guys, there are a lot of scammers out there. And not only scammers, there are good people, and I say it like that, but there are good people, but a lot of people jump around. And honestly, guys, I'm not going to join someone who is just jumping around. And when I try and reach out to them and get support and try and get some questions answered to my sponsor that I joined, and they're not doing anything to help me, or they're not responding to my messages, or they're not supporting me because they've gone off and done something else, and they jumped into some other business, and they're not focused on, what I wanted them to, I mean, heck, I don't care. I mean, they can do what the heck they like. It's their business. It's their journey. So they can do anything they like. But if I've chosen to join someone, I expect them to be there for me to help, I mean, I don't, honestly, me personally, I don't need a whole lot of help, because I can, and I never have, even when I was a newbie, I was never the kind of person that needed a lot of help. But I do, at the very least, I do expect to get my questions answered, my basic questions answered. If I can, get me into a Facebook group, so I can get plugged in, get me set up, get me started. All right. But when it comes to sponsoring people, all right, there's not a whole lot of sponsors out there that do a better job than me. And I can confidently say that. Okay. And then I'm going to throw it at you guys. If you're sponsoring people and you're moaning and complaining that you're not able to get people to join you, look at yourself. Would you join yourself? I've said this before, and I got a little bit of a controversial, people just blamed me for whatever, but the truth is, I'm not saying that I would only join someone who is above me or, better than me. I don't mean that at all. I've often joined people who have less experience than me. I have often joined people who have been in this industry less than me. I have often joined people who have, I mean, I don't want to say fewer skills, because that's irrelevant, because, some people, everyone has skills in different areas, I'm not going to say anything. We're all in this together. It's all a level playing field. But the point I'm saying is, guys, I don't care who I join, but it doesn't mean if I decide to join someone, okay, in a business opportunity, and they can answer my questions, I don't expect them to know the answers themselves. But they need to be in a position where they can get that answer from their sponsor, or they need to be in a position like they're plugged into a group and they're paying attention to the announcements, to what's going on in the company. They need to be in a position to do that. So when I ask them a question and they don't know the answer, I don't care. I don't expect them to know every answer, but I expect them to be able to know how to get that answer, even if it's a case of logging into their back office and just telling me, this is the place where you need to go to find out that answer, or, be sure to get onto this Zoom at this time, at this day, so that you can get that answer. All right. Or I don't know, here's the link to the Telegram group. This is where you're going to be able to get that answer. You can ask questions in there. You can get answers. There's a file section or whatever. Guys, it's not very difficult to get yourself plugged in so that you can support your team. That's what I'm saying. All right. But, a lot of people can do that. So what I'm saying to you guys, if you want to take things up to a whole new level and do a little bit better than the other guy, I'm just saying, consider getting some, consider setting yourself up with some lead magnets. Okay. All right. Get yourself some lead magnets, such as, bookmark a page like this. All right. Reach out to me. I'll give you access to this page. Okay. It'll give you share codes. You don't have to set everything up. You don't have to, put everything, just share a page like this, or just share this very page. Okay. Because they're just share codes on this page, and you yourself can be the person of value. Okay. You can give out this page, and share it out and be the person of value, okay? Because these share codes are lead magnets in themselves. I also created a course, a training on how to create your very own lead magnets, all right? And I've already had people, relatively brand new in the industry, who have actually managed to go through the course and set up their own first lead magnet, okay? Customized the way they wanted it, for the opportunity that they're a part of, okay, by just simply following this course. All right, you don't have to be a LiveGood member to use this course. You can be anybody who wants to simply set up a lead magnet. All right, and you get the share codes, you get the templates so that you can share out a done for you download. You can create a PDF file that becomes rebrandable, and you can share it out with your team, and then they can share out your version of that lead magnet, rebrand it. All right, the course teaches you. It's only $14, and the great news is that I'm actually giving 50% commissions. All right, when you share it out to your team. You know, I'm happy to give you know, share codes out to people, but you know, some of this content is not necessarily going to be shareable, you know, unless you partner up with me, unless you join me. Okay, I'm not just going to give out, you know, lots and lots of just free tools and you know, share codes and stuff like that to people who you know, who haven't really partnered up with me. You know, I'm just saying that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make money, right? That's why you come to me asking for help, because you yourself want to make some money, right? And I get it. You know, we all want to make, we're all in the same boat. So, you know, if I'm just sharing for free, the reason why I do this, guys, is really simple. You know, I do it because I want to build my own business. I do it because I have my own reasons why. You know, I live in Japan. I've got my kids nearby. We don't live together because I'm divorced from my ex-wife, but that's cool. You know, but I get to see my kids. But I also want to get back to the UK and see my aged mother, and I want to get some real estate back in the UK. I want to, you know, I want to move. You know, I've got my own plans. All right. So, you know, that's why I've got my reasons why I do this premium content, because I really want to scale up my business. So, you know, support me and I can support you by giving you the content that I know that people need. All right. These themselves are the lead magnets. All right. Once you get them, you know, you can do the same thing. You can give it out to people as long as those people have joined you. All right. That's why I want people to join me first, so that it's going to benefit me, right? So, you know, if you're partnered up with me as a pro member in LeadsLeap, or you are upgraded with me in LiveGood, I'm happy to share this stuff with you. You know, I might also consider, if you're partnered up with me, for example, in My Lead Gen Secret, or, you know, other things, and you've purchased something from me or whatever, I'll give you access to these templates. It's quite simple, guys. You know, they are premium content. So, you know, you can get access to these, and I'll give you access if you've partnered up with me in some way, shape or form. So, you know, what it all boils down to, all right, what it all simply boils down to is it's really simple. Okay. It's giving out value. All right. On the front end, not always thinking about pitch like everyone else is doing. It's not just about, you know, have a plan, have a goal. When you get free tour takers joining your business, be creative on how you follow up with them. Just let them know that when you take action today, I'm going to give you this, you know, this lead magnet, or, you know, think about what you can give. Don't give too much away because it'll overwhelm them. Just say that, you know, today I'm giving out this package for those that join before Thursday. You'll get this package, you'll get this lead magnet, you'll get this tool, you'll get this system or whatever. You know, guys, you can talk about the free MLM Lead Pro if you're in that already. And anyone who's been following me on my YouTube channel, you know how to get access to the free marketing system right here. Okay, so, you know, and, you know, I've got about 400 graphics that people can post onto social media. So again, this is in itself a lead magnet. You know, you don't have to give this away on the front end. You can just tell people, when you take action, when you get on board with me, I'll give you access. That's what you do. So, you know, it's not just about following up with people and say, you know, let's join. You know, a lot of great things are happening in LiveGood, blah blah blah. That's what everyone's doing. It doesn't give them any kind of like, why should I join you? You know, I might just go and search some other sponsor. Maybe I can get something better from them. So, you know, guys, you got to up your game. Okay. Anyway, hope this video was helpful. All right. And just get with me. If you've partnered up with me in some way, shape or form, I'd be happy to work with you. And, you know, if you want to get access to anything that I've got, be specific as to what it is you want. People come to me in the inbox, says, can you give me the share code? And I think, like, what share code are you asking for? Guys, you can see that I've created a lot of stuff here. So, you know, send me a screenshot of what you want. All right. Tell me what it is you're after. All right. And, you know, some people say, well, I want everything. And guys, I've got so much stuff. Tell me what it is you want. All right. You can't set everything up all at one fell swoop. All right. So just tell me what it is you want. Okay. I'm happy to share. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. And we'll chat soon. But guys, if you're on board with me, you'll get the value. All right. All right. Cheers. And chat soon. See you in the next video. Bye for now.